Episode 1 is finally here, and let me tell you, it's been a challenge to get this episode up. I'm going to ask for a lot of grace from you, and it's going to take some time to get used to it, as my AI assistant Claude tells me that you know what, you got to grow into it. I was thinking the other night when I was wrestling with this, and I've had 2 or 3 tries at different things, and being by myself, I don't have all the guys to help me get it off. So there's going to be all kinds of things, reflections and everything else, and we'll work on that. But in episode 1, I just look at this little tiny iPhone, and it intimidates me. It scares me. And I was thinking how ridiculous it is, because I've spoken and feel comfortable speaking to 10 people in a little room, and I've spoken up to 10,000 people. And you know what? Those don't really bother me. I've gotten used to that. But there's something about by yourself looking into a little iPhone. So here we go. And please give me a little grace. We opened our sabbatical with a trip that we had been planning for months because of Tanya being with her mom and the nursing home and needing to go up every day. It's a big deal for her to get away with me. And so months ahead, we started planning this trip to celebrate both of our birthdays, which are big ones this year. And she brought her brother in so he could stay with her mom and dad, and we could go away a week. And so we had planned for this train trip through the Rockies. So we paid it all, got our hotels before and after, all those things. It was going to be a fantastic train ride. And the train ride ended up being a trip that I drove 2,800 miles from Denver in 1 week. Day 1 was just traveling to Denver from Fort Lauderdale. Beautiful park. If you've never been there, I highly recommend it. Not far out of Denver either, so it's pretty cool. And even though it was really hot, about 90 degrees that day, in the mountains were snow everywhere. So from the Rocky National Park in day 2 that night, we stayed at the Hotel Colorado in Glenwood Springs. Now, there's a little story about that, because that was where we were supposed to stay on the train ride that never happened. It was canceled. But we thought, well, we're going to follow at least as much as possible the path that the mountaineer would take through from Denver to Salt Lake City through the Rockies. At the end of day 2, we stayed at this historic hotel, which we would have stayed at on the train. And it was a beautiful little city, one I'd never seen, even though I've been to Colorado a lot. And we stayed there, and interesting enough, we see the mountaineer pulling in literally within 5 minutes of us. I told Tanya, I said, well, the cancellation that happened, there must have been a situation, because it was like 3 or 4 days before we were to leave for Denver, we got an email saying that it had been canceled because it had derailed and it had an accident on the track. So I told her, I said, well, probably what they're doing is they're trying it out to make sure, the tracks are okay and everything. Didn't think too much about that. I'll come back to the train. Okay, we'll get to that later. The most important thing about this was our week out west, touring 5 national parks in 7 days. We stayed overnight at Glenwood, and then the next day we started out and we headed to Moab. We would pick up Moab, a little town, kind of a touristy town like Gatlinburg, overpriced. And so we decided not to stay in Moab, and that was a good choice. But what was really important was visiting the Arches National Park that was just a mile away from Moab. They were amazing. Here's a little tip for those of you that may want to go out to the Arches someday. There is a back roads that you'll have to look it up. I can't remember the name of it. That is off I-70, which comes out of Denver through Colorado and into Utah. There is a back roads. The first 8 miles are some of the bumpiest, craziest, loneliest road I've ever been on in the United States. However, after that, we got on regular roads, still didn't see hardly any cars, and all of a sudden, we got into what we were told would be one of the most beautiful drives in the United States. And it was leading in about 30 minutes outside of Moab and the Arches. And it was along the river, the Colorado River. Don't stay on the main road, go to that one. And it would be definitely worth your while to check out the back road. The next national park was not too far from the Arches, maybe 45 minutes or so. And the amazing thing was Canyonlands, I guess, really was kind of disappointing. I expected a lot more. If it were the only national park I was going to go see, don't go out of your way. I would. But if you bundle and package it together as we did, they're so close. We stayed at a little town outside, and then when we left there, day 4 was about Zion. We stayed at an amazing Airbnb, and it was actually a barn in the city of Hurricane. I'm not saying it right, but Hurricane. We'll all identify with that. Cool little city, lots of great restaurants and things. It's about 20 minutes outside of Zion National Park. Again, we stayed there to get away from the crowds, and the little city Springdale, the gateway to the town, is pretty expensive, and it was packed, even though it was late spring. And so we stayed in Hurricane, and it was in a barn. The people had built this barn with 4 apartments in it, and beautiful place on a working farm. We got pictures of the animals, all of that stuff. They had eggs that you could have for breakfast that their chickens had laid, and all kinds of great stuff. And it was really cool. Now, Zion speaks for itself. If you've never been, you've got to go. It's got to be one of those national parks. It is well worth it to go to Zion. Amazing. Now, there is a beautiful park lodge in Zion. Unless you book it months and months in advance, you're not going to get to stay there, and it is expensive. I recommend stay at Hurricane, drive in 20 minutes, drive around different ways like that. It's a beautiful drive back and forth. But the restaurant in the lodge is really worth going to. You got to check that out. Check out that little mile or so hike that Tanya and I did along the river. You don't have to do a lot of big hiking and all there, and you can have a great time. Well, when we left Zion National Park and Hurricane, and as we started off onto our next day, day 5, we were going to Bryce Canyon. Up the road a piece, about 2 hours. Long way out of the way, off of the interstate, but wow, was it worth it. Bryce Canyon is amazing. I heard for the first time in my life about the hoodoos. I'm not going to explain them, but we took some incredible pictures, and it is worth the long way out of your way, about an hour off the expressway, headed back to Salt Lake City to go to this national park. You just gotta do it. And it's a park that you can do, 3 or 4 hours or less. You don't spend the whole day. There's not a lot of lodging that I could see there, but you can, tag it on to Salt Lake City, tag it on to Zion National Park or something like that. Now, about 2 hours from Salt Lake City, not long after you leave Bryce Canyon, out on the expressway, is that you cannot miss this stop, even if it's for 5 minutes. And it was closing, so Tanya and I, we only had about 5 minutes, called the Creamery. It's in Beaver, Utah. You don't want to miss it. And so that was just a great thing before we headed back to Salt Lake City for our last 2 nights before we flew back. Now, I encourage you, if you would, to subscribe. I'm just starting off brand new on YouTube. I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm just trying to do my best, and I just want to keep you guys updated on what's happening in our sabbatical, and even some pastors that really don't get sabbaticals, or they have a hard time understanding what a sabbatical really is. None of our plans, 40-something things on my list, have turned out the way we had planned it. The top 3 out of 4 have been train wrecks. Anyway, thanks so much for joining. Thanks for your patience of listening to me and dealing with me. And I can't wait to keep sharing with you all summer. God bless you. Please like and subscribe. Maybe even share it with someone else. Have a great day. Now, to the train. I'm going to try to keep it short. We'd probably spent more money for this tour than we've ever spent on any tour because it was going to be really, really special.